So Danny Garcia wins a very close majority decision over Mauricio Herrera to retain his world titles at junior welterweight. This was a very, very tough fight for Danny Garcia. As far as I'm concerned, the toughest fight of his career. Very, very tough fight. A lot of people didn't give Herrera a chance going into this fight. I was talking to people on Facebook, and the majority consensus was that this was going to be an easy blowout for Danny Garcia. I have no idea why people thought that, because I was saying from the very beginning, this is going to be a very tough fight for Danny Garcia. And as you can see on screen on my Facebook, I was telling people I got one prediction wrong tonight, the Glaskov Adamek. I got that totally wrong. Glaskov won the fight, but the Danny Garcia Herrera fight, I always felt that was going to be a tough one for Danny Garcia, because people look at a guy like Mauricio Herrera and they see the fact that he doesn't have many knockouts on his record. He's a pretty small guy, and they think, oh, Danny Garcia will just walk through him. Styles make fights, people. It's not just a simple case of weighing up who can punch harder or who's got the quicker hands. That's not all that boxing is about. You get guys like Herrera who know the game from the inside out. If you'd watched Herrera's fights, like seen him against Provodnikov and Alvarado and people like that, Herrera can fight, you know. I don't know why people thought that this was an easy fight for Danny Garcia. Herrera can fight. He's very clever on the inside. He's got a good jab. He's very crafty. He's got, pretty good defense. He's very slick on the inside. Herrera is one of those kind of fighters. He reminds me a lot of Carlos Molina, the light middleweight champion, who's another fighter who's been criminally underrated for many years. Carlos Molina is a seriously good fighter at light middleweight, but people have been sleeping on that guy because of the fact that he's not a big puncher, and his fight style is quite ugly. There's a lot of wrestling and mauling and stuff like that. But I've been saying for years. And by the way, shout out to Skylar Berman. Skylar Berman, one of my friends on Facebook, he knows as well about Carlos Molina. All right, there's a small group of people that have been saying about Carlos Molina, this guy can really fight, and he's very similar to a guy, you take guys like Hopkins, Molina, and Herrera. These guys, they don't have the natural attributes. They don't have the speed. They don't have the punching power. They don't have the silky skills, but they have a tremendous boxing brain, and they understand the game from the inside out. Okay, they don't have to rely on they can't rely on natural physical ability, because they don't really have that. But their punch placement, their tactics, their understanding of distance and timing is excellent. And Mauricio Herrera, like I say, from day one I felt this was going to be a very tough fight for Danny Garcia. I wasn't sure if Herrera was going to win it. I was still kind of edging Garcia, thinking Garcia was going to win the fight, but I felt that he was going to struggle to look good in this fight with Herrera, and that turned out to be the case. Herrera was hitting Garcia with jabs all night long, right hands over the top, and a lot of people are going to feel Herrera got robbed. Certainly Herrera felt he won the fight. Okay, they had open scoring. This whole situation was set up for Danny Garcia to win. They even put provisions in I believe it was the WBA rules to ensure that Danny Garcia won the fight, because they knew that Herrera was a guy who is a bit rough on the inside, especially with his head. So they made some type of provision where if someone gets cut, the person who receives the cut gets an extra point, right? And that was clearly designed to help out Danny Garcia if needs be. Garcia also was fighting in Puerto Rico for the first time. Maybe there was some pressure there from his fans to look good and to knock Herrera out, but this was the wrong opponent for Danny Garcia to look good against. It really was the wrong opponent. They should have picked someone else other than Herrera, because Herrera is a notorious spoiler. Go watch all Herrera's fights. A lot of people now are going to be trying to look up about Herrera. You should have checked up on him before the fight, right? Before you thought this was going to be an easy blowout for Garcia. All right, Herrera is such a good spoiler. He's so good at messing you around on the inside and landing his own stuff and just nullifying your speed and power. He's very good at that. And I also don't believe, because a lot of people now are going to look at that and think, well, Garcia's overrated. He's not really that good. Garcia's a very good fighter. Okay, but you guys, I'm not saying all of you, because some people, definitely there's some people out there who knew Herrera was also going to give Garcia problems. But it's the fact that people underestimated Herrera, not that they overestimated Danny Garcia. That's what's, the issue here. People really underestimated Herrera, and Garcia's just as good as you thought he was before the fight. Trust me, Herrera give a lot of people problems. Trust me on that one. Yeah. So it is what it is. Let me know below if you thought that Herrera won the fight or you think Garcia deserved it. Maybe you were not impressed with either fighter, or you were impressed with one of the fighters. Let me know in the comment section below, and where you see Garcia going from here. Now, certainly after the fight, Garcia was talking about moving up to welterweight. You know, I mean, I think he'll still do well at junior welterweight. I just think the opponent was so awkward. That's all I think it was. You know, if he goes up to welterweight and fights some of the other guys up there, I think he'll still do pretty well. You know, if he fights, you know, well, I was gonna say Maidana, but Maidana's fighting Floyd. But I think he'll do pretty well at welterweight, to be honest with you, Danny Garcia. Okay, I think he can win some fights up there, but stay away from Mauricio Herrera. That's all I can tell you. That guy is a nightmare to fight, just like Carlos Molina at light middleweight, just like B-Hop up at light heavyweight. These guys, man, they study the game. They know the game, man. And they have to know the game like that to make up for the fact that they can't punch, that they don't have tremendous speed, they don't have tremendous reflexes. So, yeah, anyway, drop your comments below. Let me know how you felt about this fight and this performance, and where you see Garcia and Herrera going from now on. So, yeah, let me know how you feel. This is Hatman, I'm out.